Hello again. It's me, Josh, as always, and this time we're covering another game that I'm not playing. It is a 4-player game on Italy. Unfortunately, I came in just after the initial auction, but we see Florentino with the 6 plant. Florentino is the most experienced player in this game and the player with the highest win percentage overall. And then amitss1, Fanta247, and Ramu. Ramu I've never seen before. I've definitely played with the others. So the starting plans for this one, it's a little different from what I'd expect. Normally, like, the 6 and the 4 should definitely be bought on the first turn of Italy. But I would go with the 3 and then the 9 as my last plants. As the last plants to buy. The 8's not so hot because coal starts out much more expensive than on other maps. Coal starts out costing 3 on Italy, and trash starts out at 5. Coal starts at 3, oil starts at 4. So coal and oil are both more expensive to start, and trash is a lot cheaper to start. That's why the 6 becomes so good of a starting plant on Italy. The 8 is a plant that I would buy on turn 2. It's not one I'd get on turn 1 because of the more expensive coal. The 7 also is not a plant I'd really go for, although I understand the idea of it with the 3 not being bought. 7 makes a little more sense in that case, and it actually makes pretty good money for turn 1. The problem is oil has a lower restock rate than coal. So, as you can see here, 5 coal just came back into the game after the first turn, whereas only 3 oil. So that's why 7 is long-term even more of a problem than the 8 is. Also, I missed the plant that went under the deck on the first turn. So one of these other plants is gone. I just missed it. Sorry about that. And there was a little bit of bidding on the 10. And this is going to be a tough market now because of 13 coming. I mean 23, sorry. Because 23 is terrible at this point. Uranium costs 12. So yeah, there definitely should be a good amount of bidding on the 13 here. I'd pay more than 15 for it. Ooh, now 26 shows up on the futures market. This means that Fanta should not buy a plant this turn. Wow, you're going to risk dropping 26 to amitss, and he does it. Oh, well, amitss now has a freaking huge lead in this game. 26 on turn 2 is just incredible to get at list price, especially like on this map especially because this is a really cheap map. Like we have the entire northern part of Italy in play, which is all like pretty much all like the cheapest builds you can get on BSW, and then the red, which is the next cheapest area after the 3 northern parts. So yeah, this is the cheapest possible map you can get on Italy for a 4-player game. And thus, the cheapest possible map config you can get for any 4-player game on BSW. What that means is that the big capacity plants are going to have a bigger advantage compared to the smaller, more efficient plants. amitss cannot afford to buy oil and power 2 cities this turn, which is interesting. That was the downside to storing that 1 extra coal on the last turn, I suspect. But even still, even though they can only fire 1 city this turn, like, amitss has plenty of cheap builds around them, so I think they'll be just fine with that 26 there. Because now oil was not used in the last turn. In fact, this is weird. Fanta bought the 9 and then did not even buy oil. So they're not even going to use that 9 they just bought this turn. That's just... I don't get why would you buy the 9, risking that drop if you're not going to actually use the oil on it this turn. They build the 3 cities too. I don't get why you would not buy an oil there if you're going to build the 3. Anyway, I will try not to be too negative about that, but yeah, that is one of plays like that are one of the reasons I'm not so big on the multiplayer games sometimes. Well, I mean, they're a lot of fun, just I tend to worry more about multiplayer games with less experienced people, because one play like that can single-handedly decide the winner of the game. Like, amitss is just has a massive advantage compared to everybody else right now. Florentino has efficiency and cheap builds, so I mean they're the only other player that I think is realistically competing with amitss right now. If I were Ramu, I think I might not even buy the 15 this turn, because I could just build to 4, making use of the 7 and the 10. And getting a turn out of the 7 is a really big deal, because that's going to attack both Florentino and amitss. And actually even Fanta too. Like, every other player in this game is using oil right now. So yeah, if Ramu can get to 4 cities and use that 7, even just for 1 turn, that does a lot to attack everybody else in the game, driving up their oil costs. But yeah, the point I wanted to get back to was, because cities are so cheap on this map, that means that this game is going to end sooner. Someone is going to reach the end game number of cities, that is 17, much more quickly than they would on your typical Germany map, for example. And that's going to give the bigger advantage to the players who have higher capacity plants early on, meaning 26 in this case. Yep, Ramu will gladly chill in the West Coast. amitss has a lot of open land, too. amitss can get a bunch of... amitss has a couple of cheap cities in green, and can also get a bunch of red. And yeah, it makes sense that amitss can't build to 4. They should definitely be able to build to 5 on the next turn, though. Although, I would have tried to store extra oil if I were them. Well, actually, no, because amitss will actually go to the bottom of the turn order now, so yeah, not buying extra oil made sense. They're going to get cheaper oil in the next turn and be able to maybe even store a little extra and still build to 5, because they have the really cheap cities here with the twins, Rimini and San Marino. That's 2 cities for the total price of just 24. Florentino definitely has no reason to buy a plant, because they can still build into their city and make use of the 6 here. Ramu, I think, will buy 15 now. 15 will make sense for Ramu in this situation, I think, because the 7 is about to run out of usefulness, and there's not a lot of coal being burned in the game at this point, so 10 and 15 could coexist for a little while anyway. As in maybe just like a turn or 2, but still. Or alternately, Ramu could just stick with what they have, and then Fanta will definitely have no choice but to buy 15. Fanta clearly does not have good plans here. Oh, Ramu goes for 23. Ooh. That's a big deal there, 24. Okay, Fanta just hit there, for sure. And I keep forgetting to track the plants in these things. I saw 34 came in. I still got to get used to doing my plant tracking for when I'm not playing the game. And I forgot to mark 27 off even. Okay. 27 and 26. So this is, we're on turn 4 now, so I missed like 2 plants that went under the deck. So I missed 1 plant. Yep. And there's the obvious build to 5 for amitss. I mean, the other players are definitely attacking oil, so 26 is not quite going to be the instant game winner that I thought it was. In fact, amitss could even afford Firenze plus Rimini. Personally, if I were them, I might have stored extra oil and just built San Marino instead of Firenze. If I were in that situation. As competitive as oil is now, yeah. I think storing extra oil would have been preferred over building a city that gives you more connections later. I think I'd rather just store the extra resources while I was on the bottom. We'll see how it plays out, though. And if I were amitss, I would definitely fight for the 25 here. Because of how cheap this map is, like, normally having 2 5 plants is not the greatest thing in a 3 or 4 player game, because then you need to get a 7 to reach 17. Plus, 5 plants usually tend to be very expensive in auctions, so you don't want to have 2 monster plants that you had to pay a ton for. But on these Italy maps, where the game will end sooner, I think here it could be worth it. Also, I cannot believe that these people passed on the 25. So at least we should have 2 people in here to bid on this. With Cole sitting at 2 right now, like, you have to put 25 up for bid. You have to put 25 up for bid. You have to. In fact, if I were amitss, I would have put 25 up for bid. There are people who need this plant. Like, Fanta absolutely should have fought for this plant. What? Okay, never mind. Florentino just won the game now. I can't believe this. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why these people are so scared of 25. When coal is this cheap? I mean, what's happening here? Yeah, hello. Duh, pass on 27. Florentino should build over 6, I think. Or they could... Yeah. So Florentino did waste a little bit of money having that extra trash stored and then having to build over that plant, but it doesn't matter. 25 at cost is just stupid here. Like, again, this is what I mean when I say, like, people making these iffy decisions can really throw the game to one player. Now, I thought it had thrown the game to amitss before, but then people actually did there were more plants coming on the market that allowed people to attack oil, and they actually did a good job of that. So 26 is not like this free game winner anymore. But I do think Florentino just won the game. Like, they had a good, efficient setup before, and now they get 25 at cost. That's it. That's game over. My plant tracker is a little bit off here. I'm not sure how exactly, but yeah. Okay, this game is just a two. It's really just a 2-horse race now, I think. It's between Florentino and amitss, and I actually think Florentino is easily the favorite of the two. If I were Florentino here, what I would do, I think I would just build to 7 right now. I like that build. So what they did was, unfortunately because of the way the map is built, you can't see the connection cost when there's a house here. But this is a $3 connection from Vicenza to Verona. So... Plus, I like what Florentino's planning. I think what they're going to do is they're going to power 6 cities this turn, and the next turn they're going to build back here and get to 9, make use of that 16 plant to make a little extra money. Never mind, Fanta just took the connection over here. And now I think now it's definitely in amitss' favor to stall because they're sitting at the bottom of the turn order. And they still have plenty of open land behind them too. But if this game stalls, that's going to actually help amitss because they get the first build on step 2. And they got plenty of places to go. 36 goes under, and now the 12 is in. So that just stalls the market right there. I could actually... You know what? amitss is going to buy the 15 if nobody buys a plant this turn. Fanta might buy 15, though. Given their previous play, I suspect Fanta might actually buy 15 here. Called it. amitss has no reason to click this plant. 20 and 21 could still drop, possibly. 28 will get better now because uranium restock rate goes up to 2 per turn in step 2. So 28 and 23 can coexist decently. I mean, 28 wouldn't be the ideal thing here, but it would be okay. Okay, this actually gets amitss back into the game, I think. I mean, I still think that giving Florentino 25 at list price, I still think, that's going to win Florentino the game. They can just keep these plants until they get close to step 3. But amitss does have the capacity advantage now, though, and that's very important. Well, I don't know how important it is, but having the 5-4 base capacity advantage, that's quite strong on the cheap Italy map here. It's funny, remember what I was just saying, 20 and 21, those could still drop, and sure enough, one of them did. Right after I said that. At least coal's not going to stay too cheap now with 15 and 21 in the game burning stuff. Plus I expect Ramu to build and use the 10 this turn, so that'll hit coal a little bit more there. Ramu does not buy coal. What even is this? I mean, this game has 2 clear leaders, and buying an extra coal and running your plant, it would make you a slight profit and hurt both of the leading players in this game. In Ramu's spot, you absolutely should buy your 2 coal, build to 8 cities, and run the 10. I think that's definitely the play here. amitss does not build. That surprises me, by the way. I didn't even see that they didn't build. Florent? Oh wait, no, never mind, because step 2. They just, Fanta just triggered step 2, that's why. For some reason I thought we were already in step 2, but we're not. I didn't catch what plant came when 11 got built out with step 2. Okay, 34 actually goes under. And now 44 came in, so that's the next plant to go under the deck, guaranteed. And I didn't even see 17 had come on, too. So now 14 and 22 were the only, like, major dud plants left in the game. Like, nobody should buy a plant this turn. Because I'm trying to think. I think we have long enough before step 3, though, that amitss could buy 18 if they can build and use it this turn. If they can build to 10 or 11 cities, which I think they should be able to on Cheap Italy. amitss could go for 18 if nobody else buys a plant. That's reasonable. But no, they don't. And the 20 comes on, so that's actually going to be a fight. Although 20 is not quite guaranteed to stay on the market next turn. It's almost guaranteed, but not quite. We do still have 14 as the one remaining plant that could knock it off. Remember that in a 4-player game, 4 of the plants besides 13, which is why I don't list 13 in the plant tracker. The plants I do list in the plant tracker, any of those 4 are can be randomly removed from the game in 4-player. 2 and 3-player games remove 8 plants from the deck. 4-player removes 4 plants, and then 5 and 6-player games always play with the full deck of power plants. Okay, now Ramu decides to actually burn the... Oh, you know what? That's why Ramu didn't use the 10 last turn, because their building was mostly blocked in, so... It was still step 1. For some reason, I thought it was step 2 already last turn when it wasn't. But I guess amitss could not build enough to use the 18, so... They decide to just... They're going to build to 9. I like the little jump there over Reggio to get deeper into the blue area. I like what they're doing here. What amitss is doing here is they're actually blocking a lot of Florentino's potential places to go. Although if I had the money, I would have, from Piacenza, I would have liked to go into Brescia and Verona instead to further block Florentino's builds. But maybe they didn't have the money. Maybe they didn't have the money for that. Not sure. So yeah, Fanta and Ramu are just dead in this game. I think that's safe to say. It's just amitss versus Florentino now. Those are the only 2 players who have a chance, to be frank. So Florentino got 25 at cost, but amitss got both 26 and 21 at cost. Hey, Fanta's overbuilding. Alright, that blocks more of Florentino's spots to go, at least. Only thing is, Florentino will potentially have red to go into. Although Ramu builds before Florentino, so Ramu could go further south into red and block Florentino that way as well. And sure enough, 20 stays on. Alright, this is going to be a fight. Either Fanta or Ramu absolutely needs to win this plant to have any chance left, because... Oh, 30 came in. I didn't see that. There actually will be a good chance that 30 makes it onto the market this turn. Because I think... Well, okay, this is interesting. Because if Fanta wins the 20, then amitss and Florentino will pass on the 28. 28 really doesn't help them, because having a 5+4, you can't get to 17 with a third plant. So, like, buying a 4 plant now for those players, amitss and Florentino, that does not make sense. 28 would make much more sense for Ramu if they did not get the 20. I think Fanta bowing out of this auction so soon is a mistake. As high as they are in the turn order, they really should have fought harder for the 20. And then 20 went oddly cheap, although it could just be that Ramu's in such a bad position that people aren't worried about Ramu anyway, even if they do get a cheap 20. They're still pretty far behind, I feel. amitss actually buys 28. Wow. Okay. I was not expecting that. Did not think amitss would buy 28 at all. When you have a 5-4, having a second 4 going with that is not a good move in 3 and 4 player games usually. Even in 2 player games for that matter, like 5-4-4 is not normally a good place to be. And now at least the 30 is not going to go cheap. There's going to be a fight for this. And Fanta is the player who absolutely needs this plant, I think. Yeah, this should go for over 50 for sure. Alright. Well, Fanta actually made out pretty well, not getting the 20. Instead, they get this. And if I were them, I would definitely replace 15, the 15 with the 31 here in Fanta's shoes. Because they already have a lot of cities. They have more than enough cities to make money from all their plants here. And step 3 is going to come really soon. Problem is, they are high in the turn order, though. Coal's going to get driven up a lot before they get a chance to buy any on 31. And there's one of the 2 remaining duds, finally. 22 showing up. Ramu not buying extra coal is good news for Fanta. If I were Fanta, though, I would have built over the 15, because I could actually run the 9 this turn and still make a profit from it. And, you know, attack the other leading players a little bit. I think Florentino's definitely in the driver's seat now. A 6 and a 5, that's a good position to be in going into step 3 on this cheap Italy map. Because a 6 and a 5 allows you to potentially go for 18 if you land a 7 plant. amitss, on the other hand, I think, like, amitss was actually getting into a good position, but buying the 28 was a big mistake, I think. Again, if you have a 5 and a 4, don't buy another 4 plant. That's a pretty good rule to stick to. Unless it's a situation like, I don't know, like it's a 5 or 6 player game and you can somehow like end the game with the capacity lead by doing that. At least Ramu does the right thing building into red to try to hurt Florentino some more. Ooh, Florentino doesn't have the money for 14 cities. I mean, I guess after they paid that much for the 30, that would make sense. I just really hope Fanta doesn't fire 15 here. Like, Fanta should not be firing 15 in this scenario. Just store that extra coal, use it for 31 later. 15 is a terrible plan at this point in the game, with as expensive as coal's getting. So amitss definitely has a good money lead on Florentino at this point. The problem is amitss will need 2 more plants to reach an endgame capacity, like 17 or 18. Whereas Florentino will only need 1 more plant to do that. So Florentino might still be in the lead here. And yep, sure enough, step 3 card is next after 42 goes under. So this will be an interesting auction now. 39 is the only 6 capacity plants, and uranium is plentiful at this point. Ramu will replace 23 this turn, so uranium will be safe. It will definitely remain pretty cheap compared to the alternatives here. So 39 should get bid up pretty high. Because this is a tough market. For some reason, I think I remember seeing 29. 29 might be one of the plants that went under the deck. Yeah, Ramu needs to keep bidding. Like, Florentino is kind of forced to pay a lot for this plant because Florentino's problem is this. If they miss out on 39 and then another plant comes that's lower than 6, or that, Because 36, that's not a safe plant for Florentino. Keep in mind, 20 has no coal on it yet. 36 has no coal on it, so... Yeah, 36 is untouchable unless you're bottom in the turn order, and the problem there is Ramu already has 20, so... Ooh, 50! I agree with what Fanta did. Fanta went for the efficient 5 capacity plant to fit with their others, which I think is a good move. 6-5 sets them up for 18 in the next turn. Because if this game lasts one more turn, then it will take 18 to win. As cheap as these cities are. So... amitss can buy 36. amitss can actually buy 36. Yeah, I agree with that. I would definitely take 36 over 46 because you're guaranteed to get 3 coal in amitss' spot. There will be... even if Ramu buys 6 coal, amitss will still be able to get 3 on the 36. And actually, they have 1 coal on there already. So they only need 2. Yeah, I definitely agree with 36 over 46 because plant itself is $10 cheaper, and you'd rather use coal than oil because that attacks the players above you a little more. Here's what I would do if I were amitss. What I would do in this situation is in amitss' spot, I would actually try to end the game right now if I were them. I assume they have to have the money for it. They didn't build it all last turn. Right? Oh, they're buying extra. I don't know if I like that. If I were amitss, I would just build to 16. I mean, I would build to 17 right now and hope that Florentino can't get to 17. That's my play. Because if Florentino can't get to 17, I think amitss just wins, even building an extra city. That would be what I would do in amitss' shoes, because here's the problem. amitss has a clear money lead on Florentino right now. But that money lead will kind of evaporate as Florentino runs more efficient plants. And also next turn, where amitss will have to buy another plant to reach 18, like Florentino will. If this game goes another turn, then Florentino will actually have to replace the 25, whereas amitss will not have to replace the 26. So in a weird way, that purchase will work out better for amitss. 26 does tend to be better than 25 in the long run, and you're seeing why here. There's more big coal plants than big oil plants, so yeah, coal gets a lot more competitive. So amitss is not as rich as I thought either. This is going to be an interesting finish. If Florentino can't end it now, that is. Yes! Florentino can't end it. Okay, so we're going to have a really cool endgame now. amitss has to be careful with the resources they use. Like, the tough problem is this. I think amitss just won't be able to fire the 36. And they realize that. And the reason they store the extra coal is it will allow... This allows amitss to now buy 42 and get to 18 cities. That's what it appears that they were planning with this move, which is very, very good play on their part if they really plan it out that way. So the plants that are left now are just 34 plus the 2 mystery plants that I missed in the first 2 turns. amitss actually has a decent fallback option if they don't get the 42. Another option they could use here is to buy the 46 to replace 26. And then you could stick one of those extra coal on the 46 to complete that one. They would still have 1 extra coal sitting left over, though, which is not great. And it's amitss and Florentino. These are the 2 players who are going to win this game, or like have a shot to win. So it's going to come down to... Alright, so 37... Alright, I missed 37. So I think 29 might have been the other mystery plant. We know 34 is one of the other 2 left. So that means that Florentino absolutely has to win this plant for any chance at 18. And what's interesting is amitss is actually going to win if Florentino doesn't get this. Ramu needs this plant, though. And now I bet Florentino is regretting giving up on the on the 42 so soon, with how expensive this plant's getting. That could be the factor that gives amitss the game. Never mind, 32 was the mystery plant, so... Okay, 32 is the one I missed. That means, then, that there's going to be a fight over this plant now, because this is the last remaining plant that can power 6 cities. If you track the plants correctly, you would know that 34, which only powers 5 cities, is the last remaining plant. Ramu actually has a shot at 18 too. Although Florentino getting 32 that cheap. They did have to waste 2 coal though. Florentino is going to have to waste 2 coal this way. That could be what gives amitss the game. That could very well be the margin of victory here. Alright, so Fanta's finishing last for sure. They don't even have coal stored in the 31 yet. I mean, I don't expect Ramu to buy coal, though. Ramu just needs to get oil, which is cheaper, and just try to reach 18. That's what Ramu has to do. There's no point in attacking Fanta, because Fanta is going to finish last anyway. So no need to buy coal here with your hybrid plant. I do suspect Florentino might win, though, because of getting 32 that cheap. Plus, amitss, didn't make as much money last term, being forced not to run the 36. amitss did get cheaper builds overall compared to Florentino, though. That is another advantage they have. Like, this could be a very close finish here. And even Ramu might not be out of this. I mean, I'd really written them off a long time ago, but 50 came pretty cheap, given that we've gotten 2 turns out of it. That's actually the second time this game that Florentino has had to replace a plant with extra resources stored on it. We'll see if that ends up making the difference here in the money tiebreaker. I think Florentino should build Perugia, probably. Well, no, I don't know if Fanta would go for that anyway. I mean, not Fanta, but amitss. Florentino's been building slowly here. We'll have to see if they can get to 18. Okay, they can get to 18. All right. Oh, yeah, Torino. Yeah, that was a good build, because that was a city that amitss could have gone into for cheap. So that was a very good final build for Florentino. Okay, Ramu doesn't reach 18, so we know they're not winning. We already know Fanta's not winning, because it can only power 16. So it's down to amitss and Florentino. And what does amitss have? So amitss's cheapest cities left at this point should be... Actually, where does amitss even have to build? Maybe Aqua. amitss might just go into the twins here. Like Mestra and Venezia. And Perugia? I'm not sure. They have run out of places to build. The other players have done a pretty good job blocking amitss here. Ooh, Bolzano's interesting. You could do... amitss could go into... Let me think about this. They take Perugia. Oh, cannot get to 18. That is the win for Florentino. Okay. Yep. Even Florentino having to replace 25, and even with all the extra, the extra trash on 6 and the extra coal on 21 being replaced, Florentino still is the only player to actually reach 18. So they were basically a full city ahead of Ramu and amitss in terms of money, and Ramu actually finished second, which I did not see coming. All right. Well, it was an interesting game. So step 3 only lasted 2 turns in that game, which speaks to cheap Italy. Normally, on a lot of these 4-player games, step 3 will last for 3 turns, so... All right. Hope you enjoyed the game, and see you later.